Hey, I'm Kit James with NECKROOTS Podcast.
Austin Davis.
And we're talking about getting out of the rut today.
Getting out of the rut, Kit. Speaking of getting out of a rut, I had a race over the weekend, right? And this is my first desert race back since, it's been 3 years. So the beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
Was January 2020 was the last race I did.
Oh, wow, 3 years.
It's been 3 years. And so, you and I have been talking. We've been talking about getting back to our roots.
Yeah.
I just had this idea, like, next year I'm going to race the National Hare and Hound Series and see if I can get a national championship. And, in order to do that, I got to go race a local race and find out, where my speed and stamina is at so I know what class to sign up for. So we get out there. I had my NECKROOTS flag.
Yeah.
NECKROOTS flag flying on the back of the truck, right? Got to represent the Neck Nation. And was kind of pretty confident because I'd been riding for, the last couple months, going out with my dad and our buddy Derek and putting in some good work, feeling confident on the bike, did a lot of suspension tuning on it, got the stock stuff as good as I could. So feeling pretty confident. Banner drops. I take off. I get a great start. I'm to the flags in about 8th place, 9th place. Definitely top 10.
Out of how many?
Out of, there had to be 75 guys on that start line.
Wow.
And then no more than 30 seconds into this race, I'd worked myself up into 3rd place.
Nice.
So we were booking, dude. We were passing. We were booking and cooking. And got about 2 minutes and 50 seconds into the race. 2nd place and 1st place were right up there. I had eyes on both of them. There was no question in my mind, I'm passing these guys.
For
right?
sure, yeah.
Not just because I was determined, but because my speed, I wanted to go much faster than what we were going. I was just in the dust, so I'd have to navigate, make the pass, and then check out, right?
Right.
So coming up on the 2nd place guy, there's probably about a 50-foot gap. And he goes around, I'm watching him, because you key off the guy in front of you. He goes around a right-hand turn, and I'm behind him. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to cut this corner right here. Totally fine in a desert race to cut the corners.
Yeah.
Cut this corner, and I'm going to close this gap, and then I'm going to pass him. Well, dude, what I didn't see is in this corner, the weeds are like 18 inches, 2 feet tall, right? And there was a downed cedar tree in these weeds. So I'm booking, probably doing about 40, 50 miles an hour. I get up on this tree. I slam the brakes as hard as I could. And then before I hit the tree, you get off the brakes.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to hit the tree on the brakes. Hit it about 30 miles an hour. Dude sent me right over the handlebars. Right over the handlebars.
That sucks.
Trashed my helmet. Busted the helmet into pieces. Landed on my wrist. Immediate headache. And I thought I'd broke my wrist. So we ended up going to the hospital. I rode back to the pits. Everybody was all bummed out that I'd crashed 3 minutes into this 2.5 hour long race. But we go to the hospital. They do the x-rays. They're like, you know what? Nothing looks broken from what we can see, but we need to do another x-ray at a different angle to see if your scaphoid's broken. And I'm like, I ain't doing none of that, dude. I'll just put it in a brace, and then when it's done hurting, I'll take the brace off. So anyway, that's where this came from, Neck Nation.
Bro, we both got left-handed ones, but
yeah.
I didn't wear mine today.
This is a freaking 5 weeks apart, dude.
Yeah, right?
Oh, crazy.
That sucks. So were you in a rut? Were you in a rut or what?
Dude, now I'm in a rut. And what happened was I got out of the rut, right? The rut is the track.
Yeah.
And I got out of the rut and caused a problem. But we're talking about getting out of the rut today
mentally
to get out of problems, right?
Right.
So, I mean, we all get stuck in ruts. It's going to happen to all of us.
None of us are immune. Everybody does.
Yeah, everybody does. And it happens all throughout our lives, right? There's going to be times and periods in your life, your up and downs. But I think the key here is we recognize when we're in the rut.
Yeah.
Right? You pretty well know, Neck Nation, when you're going through it. But the key is to make a plan and get out of there as fast as you can.
Yeah, and sometimes we don't even know why we're in a rut. Things can be going just fine. Like today, perfect day, whatever. And everything's just sailing along just fine. And then you wake up the next day and you're in a funk and you're in a rut and you're having a bad day and you don't even know why.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it happens. It's just something that creeps up on you. And a lot of it has to do with what we allow in our mind and what we entertain, right?
Yeah, sure.
And the best way to avoid any of that negativity is don't entertain it. Don't give it any energy. But we do it. Subconsciously, we just do it. And so I think the first thing what you said was identify that we're in a rut, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And if you don't know why, you should identify why. But if you don't know why, don't spend too much time identifying why, dude. You just might be in a rut.
Yeah.
Right? Just because this is called life.
Yeah.
And so, and there's so many things we can do to get out of it. And I always have to remind myself that a rut is a grave with both ends kicked out of it if you stay there too long.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? And so when I'm feeling it coming on for whatever reason, and a lot of times, there's people that love routine. And if they're out of their routine, they kind of get in a rut. And me, I hate routine, right? And so when I get into routine, it's like, first grade this, second grade that, third grade that. Like everything's planned out. I don't like planned out.
Yeah.
You're
spontaneous, man.
Yeah, I like a few ripples on the water, man.
Yeah.
But
hey, you need a job done in 5 minutes? I'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be yep. Forget half your stuff and still figure it out, right?
Exactly.
So it's just, I don't know. I think everybody's different. And so when I get in a rut, sometimes it's better for me to get in a routine, right? To get momentum, right? And then you can get back to where you're at. But I think identifying why, and then identifying what you need to do to get out of it. And sometimes it's just a change of pace. It wasn't very long ago, just last week, we had a wedding. And
oh, yeah, dude.
My oldest got married, and you know how hard we worked to get.
Oh, dude, it was endless for weeks, man.
For weeks, getting ready for that wedding.
But, dude,
right?
let me tell you something. It turned out really good.
Yeah, it did.
The ranch was on point, dude. It was looking super nice here.
It was lit up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, after all that build up, and it's just like, right?
Yeah.
You can feel yourself going, what now? Oh, I got to take all the stuff down.
Yeah.
Bro, that's the quickest way to throw me in the rut. Tell me to get on the bus just to get off the bus.
Yeah, exactly.
I ain't getting on the bus if I got to get off the bus. I'll walk.
Yeah, no
right?
kidding. Right? Yeah, that is you.
So I don't like to put up Christmas lights for that same reason, right? Put them up to take them down.
Dude, that's me too. But my wife, dude, she's...
Oh, you got little kids. My kids did it for us, so it was cool.
Well, I don't want to throw my 4-year-old and 8-year-old up there, so...
So, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what I could feel, after all that, like mentally, I was exhausted. Someone knocked on the door. I said, babe, I ain't home. If you answer the door, which I'm not going to answer the door.
Yeah.
100% I'm not home. I'm done. I just took my boots off and sat on the couch for the first time in weeks. And it was my little brother and his daughters. I'm like, oh, yeah, Frick, come in, man.
Okay, I'm home now.
I'm home. Right? But so anyways, finally, when it rolled around to where the dust settled and most of the cleanup was done, it was... I could feel it. And so I automatically, and I was just telling you about this, I said, hey, let's go out to the ranch. And so we loaded up, me and the wife, and we went to the ranch and took down a granary and helped my uncle do some stuff and brought back some antique 100-year-old wood. And is it something that needed to be done? No, I got 1,000 things that need to be done.
Sure.
Right, besides that. And so it would seem like in my younger years, I'd be like, well, that's a waste of time, right? I need to be working. And then it just prolongs the rut because you don't break it up at all, right?
No.
When someone's complaining and you say something off the wall, it breaks their train of thought, right?
Yep.
It shakes them up, and then they go, what the frick was I saying?
Yeah.
I don't know, but you were like, meh, 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 about something, right?
Yeah.
and it gets them out of that cycle.
Yep.
Right? I had to pull myself out of the cycle and go for a drive.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And you said something really good here, Kit, and you said two things. You talked about momentum.
Yeah.
When we're in a rut, the rut will determine where you go, right? It doesn't matter what your thoughts are. Doesn't matter what your plans are. The rut, if you're in it, that's where you're going.
Yeah.
It makes the choice. But to get out of the rut, like you said, we need momentum. If you're standing still, man, you're not going anywhere. So you have to make the choice no matter what's going on in your life that's got you in the rut.
Yeah.
Right? You've got to make a choice. Okay, I need to get out of this and take a few steps to get you going, so that you've got the momentum to when the jolt comes, right? Whether the jolt is from somebody else who says something that kind of snaps you out of it, or whether the jolt comes from within, right? That you can jump out of that rut. Because I'll tell you something, it's not easy to get out of a rut. If you're in the middle of the rut, on a dirt bike, you got to really crank on those handlebars if you need to jump out of the rut. And then most of the time what happens is your front tire climbs out, your back tire stays in, and then it's a battle to get the back tire out. So, and I think that's the same case with us in our lives, right? Sometimes a rut, maybe less often than not, the rut's easy to get out of or easier to get out of, but most of the time it's a battle. It's a battle to get out of these ruts, and they want you to stay in there.
Yeah.
They want to suck you back in, right?
Yep. And that's the thing. Would it be, when I'm in a rut, would it be more productive for me to stay home and get ahead and finish taking down the lights or this and that? Yeah, it would be. But I think taking time out, identifying, hey, I'm in a funk, I need to snap out of it, right? Because if you're doing it, whether it's a chore or not, and you're not enjoying it, hit the timeout button, man.
Yeah.
Because if you're not enjoying it, you're just wasting time.
Taking that time out is getting you the momentum, bro.
Yeah, taking a step back, taking some time to go do something, whether it's throttle therapy or going to the ranch and jumping in the tractor and demolishing something.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. We were only there working for 2 hours, and it seemed like, this is a long way to drive to work for a few hours to turn around and drive back. But we stopped and got lunch and did this and did that. And so it got us out of a rut. It got us out of the funk.
Had a good time. Low stress, good time.
Yeah. So I think sometimes we think I either need to be working harder, or if it's a physical thing, I need to be resting, right? I need to be resting my wrist or whatever. And a lot of the times your body knows, you know what I mean? You know when you're in a funk mentally. Identify it and then figure it out. Re-identify your expectations. Re-identify your goals. Stop comparing yourself. Start doing those things that will mentally get you back on track, because the sooner you do it, you won't go as far down that rabbit hole. It seems like the further you get sucked into that rut, dude, when in doubt, throttling out's a little harder, right?
Yeah.
And the racers always say, when in doubt, throttle out. And that's action. That throttle's action, right?
Exactly.
And it's forward momentum. And so I think in our own lives, whether it's physical pain or whatever, if you're feeling bad physically, exercising or just waking up your body, I think motion equals your emotions that you're feeling right now equal motion, right? Whatever motion you have going on. A lot of us are sitting still, at work, and so there's no motion. So sometimes our emotions will be reflective of that. It's good to get up and go do some throttle therapy or go tear something down or do something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
you know what? You bring up something really important, Kit, and that was the action, right? You're not going to wish or pray yourself out of a rut, right? Now, I'm not saying that prayer is bad, right? But if you're going to pray when you're in a rut, you pray for strength and then tell the Lord you'll do the rest, right? Which you just said you'll do the rest. It's going to take some action on your part to get out of this thing. And we got to remind ourselves, Kit, that when we get in these ways, right? When we're mentally and emotionally not at our best, because we've got something weighing us down, when we're stuck in that rut, it goes nowhere except for down. Yeah. It only goes further down, right? Yeah. It only drives you into further depression. It only drives you into less confidence, right? It drives you into it troubles your relationships. It gets into every aspect of your life. You withdraw. Yeah. You stop seeing friends. You stop seeing. I mean, it spirals out of control. And I think if we remember that, like we said, we're all going to get in these things. But if we can remember that once we get into it, I think that's going to be all the more motivation to just get the heck out.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Change our physical state immediately.
Yeah.
It takes more muscles to be down and out and frown in your face than it does to smile.
Sure.
Right? But that smile, even if there's no reason to smile, it does something to you mentally.
Yeah.
Right? And it just turns the light on, man. So when we get in that rut, when we feel it, sooner than later, we need to flip the switch and say, hey, here I am, identify it, and throttle out.
Get out.
Take that action.
Yeah. And I think, as you were talking, something else came to my mind, and that is, sometimes we'll surround ourselves with like-minded people, right? We do that all the time. And for the most part, it's a good thing. But when you're in the rut and you surround yourself with other people who are in their ruts, right? Chances of getting out, your buddies ain't helping you.
No.
Right? Not at that time anyway.
No.
And so maybe it might be necessary to hold back on hanging out or being around the people that are keeping you in your rut.
Yeah.
And then you get out, you're successful at getting out of the rut, then you can go back and maybe help them get out of their rut.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
You can be the spark that gets them out of their troubles, right?
Yeah.
So
I think that's key. Those things are key. It's who you listen to, who you give energy to, and how it impacts you. No matter what, if you hang out with people at work or wherever, right? Whether it's by choice or by matter of fact that you have to be there around them, whoever you surround yourself with, you become.
Yep.
In some small way, you do, right?
Yep.
And if they're negative Nellies, if they're a bunch of Karens and going on and on, some of that's gonna rub off on you. It just is, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And so being aware is very important. But if you're the smartest guy in your circle, get a new circle, man. Level up. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
Keep going.
Yeah, and that, you bring up a good point here again. Dude, you got a lot of good points. But, knowing that you take on characteristics and attitudes of people around you, wouldn't that just make sense? Or doesn't it tell all of us that we should be the positive person?
Yeah.
Right? As hard as it is. I am not dude, I'm a pessimist. I'm a glass half full. I'm always looking at something and coming up with reasons as to why it doesn't work. That's just the way my brain's wired, dude. Just from
then I'm out of here, bro. I got to go get a new circle.
You got to get a new circle, right? But I've tried really hard to kind of shift away from that, even though fundamentally that's what I think. I've tried really hard to shift away from that, especially when I'm in social settings and stuff like that, or when you and I are talking about ideas and changes and things and stuff that we want to do, like very optimistic and positive, right? Just knowing that the people around you take on the characteristics. Why don't you be the influencer?
Right.
Why don't you influence them? Why don't you help them feel that positive attitude?
Yeah. And a lot of those guys that's just it's a habit. It's a bad habit.
Yeah.
They don't even know why they're going down that road.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
They're just going down the road. But it's funny because the people you surround yourself with, you do have to be careful, right? Who you spend a lot of time and who you share with.
Yeah.
And share your time with. Because my kids, when they were growing up, they'd have different friend circles, right?
Sure.
Some good, some bad.
Yeah.
Right? It's just how it is. When in wrestling, there were some good ones and there were some bad ones, right?
Yep.
And, same with both of my boys. But I always told my kids, I said, don't tell any of your buddies your problems or your concerns. And they said, why? I said, because 90% of the time they're happy that you have problems, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, they ain't going to do nothing about it.
No.
They're going to be like, oh, cool. I don't feel so bad about myself. He got problems too. All right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And that's a form of comparison. And so you do have to be careful who you surround yourself with, because if you tell a problem to someone that's positive and cares, a lot of times when people are telling you a problem, they don't need you to solve it. They just need you to listen.
Yep.
Right?
That's what my wife tells me, dude.
Really?
I don't need you to solve my problems. I just need you to listen to my problems.
Yeah. So stop patting your head and trying to solve the problem.
Dude,
right?
listening to problems is now a 24-hour job. Don't tell her I said that. Babe, don't listen to this.
Yeah. No, she won't. That's the problem. But anyways, it's so true. I'm not saying you don't share. It's good to share. It's good to talk.
Yeah.
Right? It's good to get things off your chest. But you just have to be aware of who you're doing it to, right? Are they going to be that person that's going to help you out of that rut? Are they building you up? Are they hitting the elevator when they're at the top, sending it down to grab you? You know what I mean? Just pay attention to that, because it's important in being able to get out of a rut. And pretty soon you start to rely on patterns and expectations of your own, and you realize you can get yourself out of a rut, right?
Yeah.
You don't need anyone else.
You don't need anyone else.
So,
Yep, absolutely. Well, I think that's pretty good for our message today, don't you think?
You can't overfill the glass. You'll get in a rut. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
too much of a good thing is too much.
Yeah, we don't want to get stuck in this. So, well, Neck Nation, that's our message for you today. Make sure, if you get in these ruts like we all do, you find a way to get some momentum and then get yourself out of the rut. Try to do it as quickly as you possibly can so it doesn't spiral out of control and just take you down, right?
And I
love what you said, Kit. Find somebody who's taking the elevator up and willing to send that elevator back down to grab you. I love that. So,
and when you're in a rut, right? When you're in doubt,
throttle out, bro. Throttle out. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Neck Nation. Be sure to like and subscribe to this video. Also, we've got a few subscribers. We don't have a ton, but I know you guys aren't listening. So if you're listening this time, make sure you hit that little notification bell so that you know when these new episodes come up, which is every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Mountain Time.
It'll help you get out of a rut.
It'll help you get out of the rut, guys.
Take action.
Yeah, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and then I think that's about it, kid.
That's it.
All right, bless up, Neck Nation. Thanks so much.
Bless up. Thanks.